Would it be WWE if there wasn't just a little bit of logic missing? Just a little bit. Listen, we got some SmackDown Lowdown. Who the hell watches that show? Draft picks today. I just had a cup of coffee. We're going to go off the rails in this video. We got some more draft picks to talk about after SmackDown last night and before Raw this Monday. Let's just talk about it because we're lacking a little bit of logic here. Just a little bit. Alright, we got some draft picks to talk about. Now, as you see, we're really questioning the logic in this SmackDown Lowdown draft, if you will. And it's not the draft picks themselves where the logic's lacking. It's two instances. One, Raw got this many picks and SmackDown got 2 picks. And then there's free agents? How is there free agents? We're going to break this all down because my mind's boggled right now. But let's just get into the draft picks and then we'll talk about all the logic gaps. So, heading to Monday Night Raw, I'm gonna look down at my computer. Forgive me, I didn't write the notes today like I did last night. We have the Viking Raiders, Eric Ivar and Valhalla. We have Dexter Lumis, Candice LeRae, Maximum Male Models, all 3 of them. We have Zoey Stark from NXT, JD McDonagh from NXT, Apollo Crews back from NXT, Natalya, Sonya Deville, that would count as 10, Sonya Deville, and Chelsea Green as a team. So 10 picks for Monday Night Raw between teams and units and all that stuff, some NXT picks. As for SmackDown, they got 2 draft picks. They got Hit Row in their entirety, and they got Lacey Evans. What happened there? I'm just a little curious as to how Raw ended up with 10 picks and SmackDown ended up with 2 today. Listen, there's already some logic, going on with this draft. We had Triple H coming out last night to, kick off the whole thing. We had legends coming out of the draft of the war rooms or whatever last night. Who's in those war rooms? There is no set general manager, which is like one of my biggest pet peeves of this whole thing that I really haven't discussed. I don't know why general managers weren't appointed for Raw and SmackDown. I know, well, everybody knows Triple H or Vince McMahon's writing the show these days. So we know Adam Pearce isn't writing the show, but he's a great authority figure to have on the show. Adam Pearce should have been on one show and somebody else should have been on the other. You're telling me there isn't some Joe Schmo who's a recognizable WWE face that's in the back as a producer every week that you can't just throw in that SmackDown or Raw GM role? So there was already some logic gaps here. Then we get to the draft today, and how did Raw end up with 10 picks opposed to SmackDown's 2? Obviously, in recent years, we'd have, rounds going by in these drafts where Raw would have 3 picks and SmackDown would have 2 because Raw's a 3-hour show. That made sense, but I didn't watch the SmackDown Lowdown. Maybe they explained it, but I can't see how. And maybe it was like random. Maybe it was like, all right, Viking Raiders, where they're going, spin the wheel. Oh, it's Raw. I don't know. There's just no logic here, and it's just annoying because it's just like we're trying to start a new brand split, all this stuff, and can we just fill in these pieces a little bit? It just makes sense. It just makes everything a lot easier. And then the even more mind-boggling thing is, opposed to the odd number of picks, is the fact that somehow there's free agents coming out of the draft pool. That we have a list of free agents. Mustafa Ali, evidently nobody wanted Mustafa Ali. Dolph Ziggler, same thing. Von Wagner from NXT is evidently a free agent. Now, NXT, it was select NXT superstars. They showed the room of NXT people who I guess that is who was eligible to be drafted on SmackDown last night. Maybe Von Wagner was sitting there. I don't know. But how did he become a free agent if he didn't get drafted by Raw or SmackDown? Like Ali, Ziggler, Omos, who we'll talk about in a second, they're at least on the main roster. How did Von Wagner get drafted from NXT to free agency? Huh? Listen, is it the biggest deal in the world? Obviously not. I've never watched one Von Wagner match in my life. I barely remember what the guy looks like sometimes. But it just doesn't make any sense. He's coming from NXT, but he doesn't have a place yet. So he's just off NXT. Huh? Omos, they tried making a little bit of sense of on Twitter, saying MVP negotiated a deal so Omos can work both shows. But why does Omos, of all people, need to work both shows? He should be working limited dates and just showing up when they really need him. It doesn't make any sense. And again, even though the odd number of picks doesn't make sense, it's not like the draft picks themselves and who's going to what show. I have no problem with the Viking Raiders going to Raw, Apollo Crews coming back, Zoey Stark gonna be great, JD McDonagh on the main roster, very happy about that. You know, like there's like the picks are fine. It's just it literally doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Listen, if somebody has made sense of this and I just missed it, please comment down below. Maybe they said something on the SmackDown Lowdown this morning or afternoon. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I just looked on Twitter and found the results on WWE.com. So I don't know. But listen, if there was some sense of this made, please let me know. Please enlighten me. I would love to know. But it just, I'm scratching my head right now. It doesn't make any sense. And out of all people to be free agents, like why Mustafa Ali and Dolph Ziggler? Like why do they get the, I don't want to say special treatment, but why did they end up in free agency? If anything, it would have made more sense for Paul Heyman to negotiate a deal so Roman Reigns can work both shows or something like that. Honestly, let's be real here. Is WWE just having a free agency of some, I don't want to even say that notable of talent, but just some guys that are at least on weekly television for the most part? Von Wagner coming up from NXT, because I guess they see potential in him. Are they only doing a free agency so it feels more real, like an NFL draft? Like some people just go undrafted and they go into free agency. Like, that's probably what WWE is doing, right? Which is completely ridiculous. The draft should be, I'm just gonna pretend here. I'm Adam Pearce. I'm Monday Night Raw. I'm so-and-so drafted for Friday Night SmackDown. We go back and forth until there's nobody left, and that includes the couple NXT picks. Each brand gets 5 NXT picks. I don't know. It just takes a little bit of thinking. It really is not that hard to make common sense in this draft. Listen, maybe I'm making too big of a deal about this. I also just had what I like to call the CNC, coffee crack. You know, before I made this video, so I'm all kinds of wired right now. Maybe I'm making a big deal about this. I don't know, but I just don't get it. There's not one situation that I can think of that, you know, makes any logic in my head. I just don't get it. I mean, listen, real quick to just talk about some of the picks. Candice LeRae going to Raw. Very happy about that because Indy Hartwell is on Raw. We have to put Candice and Indy back together. It just makes the most sense. Dexter Lumis is there as well. I assume Johnny Gargano will get drafted to Raw, and then we will have The Way minus Austin Theory back together on Raw, which is going to be a fine unit. I think people will love to see it. What else we got? JD McDonagh going to Raw and Apollo Crews. I'd love to see both of those guys versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. I think those would be really fun matches. Zoey Stark, not somebody who's going to be, you know, the face of the division, but Zoey Stark's pretty great in the ring from what I've seen, so I'd love to see her mix it up on Raw. Very happy about that call-up. SmackDown honestly got the shit end of the barrel. I mean, Hit Row and Lacey Evans. Like, Lacey Evans can never be on my television, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Hit Row is way more tolerable than a Lacey Evans in just any capacity, but like still, like, and I'm still just trying to figure out how Raw ended up with 10 picks, SmackDown ended up with 2, and then we ended up with superstars in free agency. Make it make sense! Nonetheless, I'm done rambling. Anyways, guys, if you did not see my video from last night, I uploaded it like right before midnight, talking about the SmackDown and Night 1 results of the draft. Go check it out. I put all my thoughts in there from every single pick. And now, obviously, you got this video today. So we will be doing one final video come late Monday, early Tuesday, talking about the Raw results for the final night of the draft. This coming Monday, very excited to see how these rosters span out. And then, of course, next week is Backlash. We will be back on the channel talking about Backlash predictions, reviews, all that good stuff. And I will also be back tomorrow with a video discussing CM Punk, AEW Collision, and who could possibly be joining CM Punk on that new Saturday show. Go follow me over on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Noah Nation Vlogs. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!